This is an updated top 10 list of my favorite must-own Civivi knives. You're going to see some small, medium, even some large ones because I made sure that there is something on the list for you. Hey, how you doing? If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Jay. Go ahead and consider clicking on that subscribe if you're looking for knife reviews that get right to the point. All right, starting us off at number 10. How about the Chronic? Out of all the Civivi knives that I'm going to show you today, this one definitely does, it stands out. It's a true gents folder that I just think really is the perfect size. It kind of reminds me of one of my favorite knives. This is the now discontinued CRKT Ruger LCK, and if I go ahead and hold the two next to each other, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Man, do I love the choil on this thing. If you prefer now like those front flippers, which, yeah, those are all right. Sometimes I have a hard time deploying those, but if you would rather have the front flipper version, you can always go with the Civivi XR instead. Number 9 is going to be this big boy. Here's the Insight. This is admittedly like one of the larger knives that I normally like to carry, and it's honestly among, like, I would have to say my top 5 Civivi blade shapes. This would be one of my all-time favorite knives if they made one small change and added a thumb stud to it, you know, to give it so then it has multiple deployment options. Oh, and if they would go ahead and drill, man, just please, if they drilled some holes on the other side, so then that, you know, it would be good for us lefties. The handle on the Insight is just so darn comfortable that you could cut for hours with this thing and not even realize that it's been that long. Number 8 is going to be one. Oops. Number 8 is one of the newer knives on the list. This is the Appalachian Drifter. At first look, it's basically just a rustic gent, but, you know, with a few key changes. I mean, it has a double detent lock, which means that there's going to be a detent on each side of the blade. Really, you know, there is no lock, so this is going to be great for those of you that live in areas, you know, where the blade size and where the lock is, where there's restrictions. Just like the Spyderco Smock, it has a top flipper that really does, well, it also makes it, man, just such a good time to fidget. I have a hard time putting this down. Oh, and you can also go ahead and just slow roll it open with your thumb on the blade. Speaking of that blade, check out that really, it's a dark, like, stonewashed kind of finish on this S35 VN blade. I brought back out the rustic gent again, just so you can see the difference in the handle thickness. So the Appalachian Drifter it's a micarta handle that comes in at about 0.49 inches thick, and we also get the addition of unfortunately, it's just a one-position tip-up pocket clip, which I honestly think that proves Civivi really does. They listen to feedback from their customers. Now, this knife is going to be extremely limited in what you can cut with it, since it does not lock. I mean, the only way that I would use this is just going to be for like light duty type stuff, because it doesn't require much pressure at all to overcome that detent to close the blade. And there really is there's no way that you can hold the knife to make it harder to close. You can see, you know, with some detent lock knives, you can kind of pinch it and then it prevents it from closing. No matter where I place my fingers, yeah, the blade still likes to close. Number 7 is another new one. This is the Pintail. And I think that Civivi's trying to catch lightning in a bottle again, like they did with the Elementum, because the Pintail here is almost exactly the same size. The only difference, well, not the only, but one of the differences is that it has the multiple deployment options. You can use the flipper tab or the thumb studs, and there is a 2 position. Yes, that's right. We get some lefty love with this deep carry clip. And the larger thumb studs, these are, well, they're great. Like if you have gloves on, but they're kind of smooth, so they don't really grab your thumb. And mine has, actually, it's slipped off a few times. Of course, I can't do it now, but these scales, if you take a closer look, they're listed as being micarta, but they really they don't feel like it. And just like the thumb studs, the scales are also, they're smooth, and there's just not much traction here. The action now in both directions, it's nothing special, because it's pretty easy to fail, and you got to give it quite a few shakes to get it to drop shut. But then again, at least I know I don't buy a knife for its action. But man, you have to admit, it is just so satisfying when that blade like flies open and when you're able to get it to drop shut. So how does it cut? Well, yeah, I'd say it cuts pretty darn good. That 3-inch hollow ground S35VN blade, it slices right through, as you saw, paper and cardboard easily. And I appreciate that the steel and the handle material that we're getting for $80, that really is a good value. I just hope that Civivi, I hope that they're not moving away from the budget side of things. Number 6, one of Civivi's more unique blade shapes. This is the Brigand. How about it, though? This tall, like, flat grind, man, does this make it such a good slicer. This is another Civivi that I really think it would be a little bit better if there was a second deployment option that was added, but it doesn't really affect my overall opinion of this knife because, well, I love it. Number 5 is one of the best Civivi knives to fidget. It's the Shredder. If you're really into like spidey flicking or middle finger flicking knives open, I'm going to tell you right now that this is one of the best you can get for that. It's definitely, oh yeah, this is definitely a full-size knife. So if you prefer like the smaller stuff, the Shredder might not be the right choice for you. If you're liking this video so far, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. How about number 4? Ooh, it's the Backlash. Now, it's one of the first Civivi knives that was ever released, and it is still among the most popular. This is also going to be a full-size knife with just, man, the action is just great. And that hollow ground blade, oh, it easily cuts through just about anything. How about the boss at number 3? Yeah, it's the Elementum. One way that I look at this knife, okay, if Civivi was a realm and all the knives were its subjects, the Elementum would be the king of it. Number 2, the Praxis. This is still, though, my absolute favorite Civivi blade shape. I just love that extra wide profile that it has. And, oh, have you seen that new version of it with the black blade and the green, the OD green scales? Oh my God, do I need that knife. Before I show you my number 1 favorite must-own Civivi knife, I would love to know, what does your top 10 list look like? And if you don't have 10 of them, hey, don't worry. Just go ahead and list as many as you possibly can down in the comments. Number 1. Finally a blade I don't have to wipe off. It's the Dogma. Now, if we look at these two side by side, you can see that it basically has the exact same blade as the Ortis over here, but did you notice that Civivi went ahead and they changed this one by getting rid of, what did they do? They got rid of the thumb hole and they put in like a fuller. I like this. I prefer this one over the Ortis for, well, there's a couple reasons. Because of the D2 steel that it comes with instead of, not that there's anything wrong with 9CR 18 MOV, but hey, come on, if you had your pick, at least I know I would choose D2. Also, now I know that this is the copper version, but the standard one has G10 scales, and I would, again, prefer that over the plastic that they used on the Ortis. And Spidey flicking is definitely a heck of a lot easier with the Dogma, because if I squeeze the Ortis too tight, I'm not able to flick out that blade. And finally, the last reason is the price. I mean, you get all of that stuff I mentioned, the steel, the scales, and the function for only $8 more than the $40 Ortis. Up on the screen, you're going to see a couple of videos. One will take you to my previous top 10 Civivi list, which I really think that you should watch because you can kind of compare and just see how things have changed. And if you want to see more knife reviews that get right to the point, go ahead and click on that subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you at the next video. Take care, guys. See ya.